All right, Kane and Tim again. Today we're looking at Tim's YXZ. He's been a YXZ fan since I met him a few years ago. Got to 2024, purchased a turbo, had Weller Racing do everything they do. They put Cognito long travel, they put a cage, they wired up some Baja Designs lights. He's got a lot of money in this thing. You know, the stock one's about 25 grand. He's got around 50. So doubled the price of the YXZ, gave it about 2 inches more travel, 9 inches of width, only a little more weight. It's actually, they call it a lightweight setup with the springs and all that. So that's why there's no cargo, there's no roof racks. You know, Tim likes to drive fast, so it's light. We're gonna take it around our little test area, Clay Peak. We're gonna do some lap times. Gonna have a good time. We're gonna, you know, it's not a shootout between the two, but we want to see what long travel and a turbo does to a YXZ. We love the platform. You know, it's been around since 2016, almost 10 years, so it is in dire need of some of those features for some people. I mean, the nimbleness of the stock YXZ is still great, but we know there's guys like Tim that want to go faster. They want to have a little plusher ride. So that's what we're here doing today, and we want you to follow along. Grab your helmet, Tim. Let's go.
Let's go.
has way too much power. And it's not necessarily too wide, but it's got too much power. This slick track, I mean, you use a quarter of the power of this thing.
Right.
But you can tell if you short shift it, it wants to go. It wants to pull out of the corners really well.
Yes.
So our lap times, you haven't seen them yet completely, but I was like a second and a half faster than you in both cars.
Okay.
We were both about 3 seconds faster in the turbo than the stock car.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, it was hard to find traction in this thing, but it was still faster.
Yeah.
Probably the suspension was hooking up a little bit better, you know, coming out of the whoops. I don't know if you felt the same way, but I felt going into the whoops, out of the turns, the stock one would actually, like, you could straighten it out and charge down the straightaway easier for some reason.
Yes.
Than the narrower car.
Yeah, I'd agree that in the corners, with the stock one, you feel like you could flow in harder, and because I'm guessing because it's less power, you could full throttle and hold it open through the whole corner.
Yeah.
And stay wide open throttle, let it shift into the whoops, and you're just steering.
Sure.
With this car, it seems you have that big power, and the power comes on, and you have to control the power.
Right.
And fighting the front wheel and that front wheel pull, is different for sure.
And then once we were into the big bumps, you could still go just as fast, I think, in the stock one, but you were definitely more comfortable, you know, going through them in this one. I thought. You know, it was, you know, this is probably the wrong place to compare the two, because you can't stretch his legs here. I mean, we're running half the power that this thing could put out. We need to go to the dunes. We need to go to the desert where you like to ride, but I know you like to ride this stuff too, so I wanted to start here.
I love to ride it all. I like to ride it. I love track riding. I love rally style track
we
riding.
met at the rallycross course.
That's where we met. I love short course riding. I love the extra width as far as stability in the corners. I feel like I have no nerves at all as far as sliding it out into a corner.
True.
Where I was a little sketched, me personally, when it was 64 wide, that I might tip.
Yeah, did you
if I would catch an edge or something, that I would tip if I caught an edge in the 64. In this, I don't seem to worry about catching an edge or anything.
Yeah, that 8 inches of width really helps.
Yeah, the width really helps.
The stability there.
The suspension, I'll say, this one I think is more set up for desert whoops and sand whoops, high speed riding. The stock suspension on the 64 is really plush, actually. The way it's set up, however it's set up, is very soft and gentle, and it does really well on short courses. That car is amazing, short course car. Yeah,
in that big deep turn with the big whoops in it, they almost felt identical going through that corner.
Yeah, not much difference whatsoever.
Yeah.
Whatsoever. I think a huge testament to the YXZ as being a short course, nimble car. This, now I think you could apply it to desert, obviously high speed whoops, and more open riding.
Right.
I haven't hit the dunes with it yet. I'm really looking forward to it. Maybe we'll hit St. Anthony's here soon.
Yeah, it's almost time, and maybe we'll bring some other turbo cars to compare it to, because I think it's on par with the Turbo Can-Am and maybe the Pro R or the Turbo R Razor.
Yeah.
For sure, as far as power wise, we'll see how it does suspension wise and handling, but it's still a thrilling ride for sure.
Oh, it's fun. I'm smiling the whole time.
Yeah, so it's I mean, it's Yamaha for the win and Weller for the win too. There's, you know, I think it was money well spent for sure. I mean, you could have stayed stock, but you wanted more. You wanted to go faster in certain places, and Weller did that for you.
Yeah, I really wanted to go fast through desert whoops, and I couldn't do that with the stock suspension. With desert whoops, big whoops, even spread out, I could cruise between 50 and 70 now, no problem. where the stock suspension just clapped out.
Yeah.
It would just clap out and you would have to slow down and take the big desert whoops one at a time. This thing will actually flow right through them now.
Good, good. Well, let's hit the desert on the way to the dunes and try them both.